Thanks for joining us for another edition of Texas Insider TV, brought to you by the Texas Alliance of Energy Producers. I'm Jim Cardle. The Texas Oil and Gas Association, sometimes known as TXOGA, is one of the largest and grandest associations of all those based here in Austin, Texas, that works with the legislature. Founded in 1919, Texas Oil and Gas Association is now led by President Todd Staples, who himself is a former Texas Ag Commissioner, state senator, state House member, and hails from the city in East Texas of Palestine. They recently had a Texas Energy Day here at the Capitol and are facing some critical issues as the industry contributes significant amounts to the state budget and employment across the state. We're pleased to be able to visit today with Todd Staples, president of the Texas Oil and Gas Association. Well, Todd Staples, Texas Oil and Gas Association, appreciate you coming in today.
Good to be with you, Jim.
We've got a lot to talk about, and certainly the oil and gas industry, one of the most critical and important industries for this nation and for Texas. But first, let me just ask you, because you recently had a Texas Oil and Gas Day here at the Capitol. How did it go? What's the response from the legislators? Talk a little bit about the industry in TXOGA for starters.
Well, we did have Texas Energy Day at the Capitol, and it exceeded my biggest expectations. We had literally hundreds and hundreds of oil and gas employees from every region of Texas that descended upon the state capitol to really with a simple message.
Okay.
Oil and gas impacts every single Texan. We had displays on the steps of the Capitol turning natural gas into liquefied natural gas, a big part of exports for Texas in the United States now. We had companies bringing in technology about how safe pipelines are. Mm-hmm. We had a NASCAR here that's operated on jet fuel that they fired up a few times. And so it was an exciting day to talk about the importance of oil and natural gas, its impact on our state, and really what it means. And they did visit every single office in the legislature. We know that there are entities out there that don't appreciate the fact that you don't have to choose between the economy and the environment. You can have both. Because our member companies at the Texas Oil and Gas Association invest considerably in promoting safety and delivering this product responsibly. And that's the real message that we wanted everyone to hear at the Capitol.
A lot of folks have realized or participated in before, but there's Texas County Days, there's Texas City Days. You set up a tent on the South Lawn and have a lunch. How about the legislators themselves? Are they fairly educated, or does it depend on location? Are you finding, you've been doing this now a year or two, are you finding that legislators do need education, or are they fairly knowledgeable?
Well,
or is it individual to individual?
It's individual to individual, but as a whole, I think they all recognize the fact that oil and gas contributes to their state budget that they have to write every 2 years. And they know that the difficulty that they currently face is because in 2015, oil and gas paid $13.8 billion, Jim, in terms of state and local taxes and state royalties in 2015. In 2016, that number declined to $9.4 billion. So it's a $4.4 billion shortfall because of the depressed prices, the global oversupply. But the surprising thing is this: even in a down market, oil and gas paid $26 million a day to local and state governments. That's a phenomenal amount. 49 other states would trade immediately to be in our shoes. Let me restate that. Maybe 48. I don't know if California, or 47. I don't know about New York. Unfortunately, there's some that are missing out on the good things that are going on in Texas because they don't appreciate the fact that these dollars could go anywhere in the world. But they're going on in the Lone Star State, and we want to keep it that way and protect our environment, protect our economy all at the same time.
Well, two things. You're right. Some states just don't get it. We have to fight that in many aspects of daily life. But makes me think of two things. People don't realize the billions of dollars. I know ExxonMobil just announced an ethane plant down on the coast. talk about what is going on down in between Beaumont to maybe Corpus Christi #1, and then delve a little bit more into what dollars impact our state budget. But give us an overall economic impact, perhaps, of some of that stuff on the coast or the shale.
Well, the beauty of what's going on in Texas is that we are being looked at for plants like the one that Exxon is talking about. And the good news is the local leaders there recognize the value of those jobs and what it would mean to their future and their children and their grandchildren and their schools and their hospital districts. Phenomenal decisions that they made. Exxon is getting very close to finalizing that. We hope it's going to be in Texas, but with the Gulf Coast having capabilities and different arrangements, we hope that we land these projects here. So Texas is positioned to export our product, our refined product from our refineries all across the world, our raw products from crude oil to liquefied natural gas. Those plants and those plans are occurring today because of innovation and technology that was developed and refined in the Lone Star State. Horizontal drilling combined with hydraulic fracturing or fracking that's been around. Millions of wells all over the world have been fracked for decades, successfully and safely. Anti-oil and gas entities have hijacked that term and have confused the public. You talked about education. I think everyone needs an education about the science that goes into producing our oil and natural gas today. In the last 6 months or so alone, there's been billions of dollars of projects that have gone into the Permian in West Texas alone.
Billions.
Like 26 billion. I'm an Aggie, so give me a little room there on being exact on that. I hadn't calculated it, but it's in excess of $20 billion of projects of people that have been buying the rights to go in and develop those resources. And so you're going to see a resurgence of activity, I think, if policymakers make good, sound decisions, and they have some in front of them, to give the certainty to investors to go ahead and complete those projects.
Let's talk about that a little bit, delve into some of the particulars that you all might be working on at the Legislator. Again, folks, thanks for joining us for this edition of Texas Insider TV, brought to you by the Texas Energy Producers Alliance. TXOGA's leader, Todd Staples, with us today. The legislators literally just hit a halfway point of a 180-day legislative, and you're talking about the policies. What are some of the things that you all are working on? We had, everybody knows, $100 a barrel gas a couple years ago down to the 20s. Now we're in the 40s and 30s and in that neighborhood. So you're working on some things. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, we are. There are two areas I think that legislators can focus on that will give confidence in companies to come to Texas and to develop these projects to their fullest extent, which means jobs in every region of Texas, sales tax revenues that helps the budgeting process. And these two things are pretty simple. We know that the sunset process occurs at the legislature where agencies are reviewed. The legislature is considering reauthorizing the Texas Railroad Commission today, the agency that regulates oil and natural gas and pipelines and surface mining and those types of things.
And this is one of the beauties of our Texas state government a lot of folks don't know about. When you say sunset, every 7 years an agency has to justify its existence.
That's right. And if they don't justify their existence, the legislature can abolish that agency. They've actually done that a time or two, or they can modify and refine that. So before the legislature this year is to reauthorize the Railroad Commission. Industry, I think it's important for viewers and voters to know that the Texas oil and gas industry actually supports a robust, science-based regulatory agency. There is bureaucratic regulation. There's things like the Obama administration that tried to drive production outside of the United States that hurts every American family. But we actually support a robust science-based regulatory environment. We hope the legislature reauthorizes the Railroad Commission, and we also hope this. the funding, the appropriations and finance process that you mentioned, Jim. We want both the Railroad Commission of Texas and the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality to receive the funding levels that they need so they can hire inspectors, they can do the oversight of the agency that they need. And if anyone has a concern and the inspector goes out, they take a look at it. If an entity is not operating appropriately in Texas, you can withdraw their permit. You can get them back into compliance. You can do a lot of different things. And so these are the two main areas that we think need to be focused on. There's some more things that the legislature is looking at, but these are key to giving certainty to get this rebound to happen as quickly as possible.
A lot of Texans don't realize what you're referring to there. I've heard time and time again, you all in this industry in particular are advocates for assistance, for necessary oversight, because you are a science-based industry. You need to have a 100% degree certainty of what you're doing for the entire process to work.
And it has to work that way. Science and innovation, tried and tested methods is what has built Texas into the economic powerhouse that it is today. It adds safety every single day. Every one of our member companies really focus on safety and the way they conduct their business. And here's why it's important to every Texan.
Okay.
96% of the products that we use every day is derived from oil and natural gas. Really? Our cell phones, shampoos, makeups, all have components of oil and natural gas. Really? We really don't even consider our carpeting, things like that goes in oil and natural gas as an influence. And in order to better educate the public and make them aware of really what's going on, we have our website. It's TXOGA.org. Okay. TXOGA.org. And we encourage people to take a look. We have myth versus facts. If you're a teacher, we have information for your classroom to talk about natural resource stewardship and development. And we're really excited and want to be a partner with all Texans.
Excellent work there. You mentioned a second ago the Obama administration, and I know you got to get back to the Capitol, so we'll wrap it up with this. And that is the future, the prospective things coming down the pike. I know we had President Trump authorize or reverse the stoppage of the Keystone Pipeline. There are other projects that are sending oil and gas product to our refineries on the Gulf Coast. What do you see coming down the pike, and perhaps start with the Keystone, the impact that will have on Texas? But what's the positive future developments that you're seeing coming down the pike for the industry?
I think we're in an era today where we are going to have oversight. We're going to have the Environmental Protection Agency doing what it was intended to do to protect the environment in a science-based way. I think what we will see from this federal government is demanding that the states be in the role that they're designed to be in, our state agencies performing those functions, not getting into the micromanagement that we saw the Obama administration do time and again, which had no basis for benefit. There was no cause and effect, risk versus reward analysis that occurred that impacts business decisions and business operations. I think what we will see in Texas, we will continue to be the leading oil and natural gas producing state in the nation. I think you will see a new level of economic energy independence that this country has not seen in a long, long time. I think you will continue to see export opportunities. We will still have imports and exports because we need different qualities of crude for our refineries. We need the infrastructure, and pipelines are the safest way to move oil and gas. We need that infrastructure to be developed, and it needs to be done in a transparent and fair way, but there's a lot of misinformation, and so that's why we're really putting a lot into our website, txoga.org, so that people can get those facts and ask those questions.
Your comments there make me think of one final question, and that has to do with the future of being energy independent as a nation or not. I know one of your friends, Jerry Patterson, former land commissioner, was in here about 3 years ago and said we are on the verge of being energy independent as a nation, and now I think it's probably almost a fact. Is that something that you can confirm or that we're close to?
I can confirm that we are energy secure today.
Really?
And think about this. I know, Jim, you, federal politics, national politics, the strength of our nation is important to you.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to negotiate with foreign countries today, knowing that we have the ability to be energy secure, is a national security element that puts us on a new level of playing field.
Mm-hmm.
This new administration can negotiate from a position of strength and power with our friends and our adversaries all across the globe. We, as the former agriculture commissioner, I can tell you, we say we're food independent or we're food secure. We still import foods and beverages and things from across the world because
Sure.
we want to do that. Our refineries in America today, which is a phenomenal capital intensive business, have invested heavily to blend heavy crudes and light crudes. We primarily produce lighter crudes in Texas.
Okay.
And so we get product from Canada, we get product from Mexico, we get some from a few other countries. We will still have different levels of imports because of the way our structure is, and we won't change it overnight. And let me say this, we know there's a lot of interest in renewable fuel sources. Our industry says, hey, let consumers be the king. Let consumers decide. Let's do it in a manner that we know that markets are developed, not through government mandates that ultimately drive up prices for moms and dads heating and cooling their homes. Let's do it in a market-based way, and that's kind of what we're looking forward to as we continue to see growth and opportunity.
Well, Todd Staples, appreciate your concept there. More product to more people at a lower price wins every time.
That's it.
You have been a House member, a state senator. You mentioned Commissioner of Agriculture, now the president of the Texas Oil and Gas Association. Todd Staples, we really appreciate you coming by.
Thank you, Jim.
Folks, we appreciate you joining us for this edition of Texas Insider TV. Remember, you are either an insider or you're not. I'm Jim Cardle. Thanks for joining us.